Hey my love bugs, welcome back to yours truly. My name is Katlego. Thank you so much to everyone who's already subscribed to my channel. And if you're new here, maybe you've been around, you love what you see, but haven't quite yet subscribed, please do subscribe. So today we're having episode 2 of the legal series that I started I think a week or two ago. And unfortunately, I actually didn't introduce the series at all in the first episode, because after I shot it, I actually thought to myself it would add more value if I broke down what I spoke about into a 4-part series, 10-minute videos, and just go in a bit of more depth. And I'm hoping that it'll really add value to somebody, because we are also in different phases, in different steps, in different journeys, and a certain video might be more relatable to you than the other. So anyway, without saying too much, let's get into the video. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. So in today's episode, we'll be looking at securing your articles, a typical day of a candidate attorney, and what that journey looks like. I remember fresh out of varsity, like even way before that, I think high school, because we watch so much American content, you thinking, damn, I'm going to be a bulldog. I'm going to be Annalise Keating. I'm going to be like the fixer. But what does it really entail, and what does it really look like to be a candidate attorney or attorney in South Africa, right? So first things is securing your articles. Securing your articles is a journey on its own. The market is quite saturated. A lot of graduates and quite limited or gate-kept opportunities within the industry. So we are usually advised to start looking for articles from like your second, your third year, but it's not always feasible for everyone. Why I say this is because the big 5 will advertise like their positions or posts while like 3 years before, right? Meaning that you might be like in your second, your first year, and if you do well and you secure it, that's great. But there are thousands of other people that journey isn't feasible for them. So you are left with your medium-sized law firms, your small law firms, and unfortunately with these kind of firms, it's usually word of mouth or referrals that get you in. But do not dismay. I mean, it is quite difficult. I'm not gonna like glamorize it. It is quite difficult to get into that position. To secure articles is quite the journey. But with anything in life, everyone's journey is different. It might be very easy for the next person and a little bit harder for the next, but it's doable, so do not be dismayed. Once you obviously secure your articles, you register your articles, your PVT with the LPC as mentioned in my previous video, and depending on your journey, it will be a year's contract or a 2-year contract. Now, the question on everybody's mind, I think in anything, like in any position, in any employment setup, is what is the salary gonna look like? What's my take home? Now, the perception with a lot of law firms is the fact that you are coming in as someone who is not knowledgeable enough, or who only has theoretical knowledge. By that I mean you have textbook knowledge. You do not know the ins and outs of what it takes to be an attorney, and essentially you are going to be trained, and nobody wants to pay thousands for someone they're going to train. It feels like it's more of we imparting knowledge, we pouring into you, and we shouldn't have to pay thousands. It is quite sad, but it differs on where you're placed. So in your big 5s, I think last I checked it's about 25 or more with some benefits. In your small, medium sized law firms, it could just be a couple of thousands under that, and your small firms even further down. So it really kind of depends where you're placed, how generous they are, what they see you as, are they pouring into you? Because my understanding with the big 5 is that you're going to be exposed, you're going to rotate. It's a big opportunity to be there, and the chances of retention are really high, as opposed to your small law firms or your medium-sized, where maybe there's not rotation opportunities. And the smaller it is, the less maybe clients you have and less money you have. I really don't know, but that is kind of like the perception. So it's actually been quite the debate in the legal field for a couple of years. There has been ridiculous expectations from candidate attorneys, from having your own car, license, and it's like, if I'm earning below, how am I expected to cover all of this? To such a point that the LPC had to, try and mitigate the situation for a couple of years. And this year, I can't remember which month, but a minimum was sort of like introduced. And in urban areas, it's about 8,000 Rand. And in the rural areas, it's about 6,000 Rand. Now, with those minimums already, you can gauge that it's tricky there by salary. But the potentials are in the opportunities are endless after that. You need to be mindful of it. And on that note, I also think it's very important to say that when you embark on being a attorney, it is something that will require a lot of finances. The saying that says it takes money to make money, literally on this journey, it's that. And it's unfortunate that not everyone comes from the same background. Like, just not being able to, for example, to pay for law school can derail your whole career, which is quite unfortunate. What does a typical day look like as a candidate attorney? Now, I'm speaking from experience, obviously, and depending on where you're placed, if you're doing litigation, if you are with the big five and doing like acquisitions and mergers and corporate law, obviously it's different. If you're in a small law firm where you're kind of like doing a bit of everything, where you're doing general practice, so you're doing divorce, you're doing labor, you're doing a bit of that, you're doing a bit of this. It differs, excuse me. So really, I'm speaking from experience. So a day in the life of a typical candidate attorney, you do a lot of research, you do a lot of legwork for either your associate, your director, your principal attorney, or whoever is your senior, especially if there's no paralegal. So you'll do a lot of legal drafting, you'll do a lot of research, you will be really doing the legwork and being exposed to certain things where you are shadowing. So with client meetings, you are not alone. So you kind of just learning the ropes gradually. By the time you're in second year, you get a little bit more room to work, Analytical thinking is very important. Thinking on your feet is very important. Being knowledgeable is very important. So a typical day would be really just shadowing whoever is above you and doing what is expected to help them do what the client entails or needs, So that's a lot of research, a lot of drafting, a lot of filing, a lot of putting together the documents that will be required for whatever you're working on. But as minor as that seems, it all comes together in the end. It all really just comes together. When I look at my journey, I think I started, and I remember my first day I was asked to do a legal opinion on like the NCA and the CPA, which is the National Credit Act, as well as the Consumer Protection Act. And I thought to myself, what? But from there, you do the research and it applies to the actual problem that you might have, and so you grow. But a typical day is really just being behind the desk and doing the legwork. Ad break. Somebody decided to bless us with some Sunday blues music outside, and yeah, I hope it's not audible though, so I'm just gonna continue speaking to you guys. Anyway, so obviously every other typical day you are at the office, but every now and again you have to litigate, which is really why we all want to be lawyers, right? Because we see it on TV and whatever. I'm just being dramatic, but yeah, of course, The fun thing about being an attorney is that there's the element of just not having a typical corporate job, but actually going and representing your client in court, litigating, and just, fighting it out and winning, of course, is the aim of the game. But yeah, with litigation, it's quite daunting. It is very daunting as a candidate attorney to step in there. So it's very important to be very knowledgeable on that, because sometimes you're not fully equipped. You'll be thrown in the deep end because you are there to be taught. So for me, God is funny. God gets that. God is really something, right? So I actually had my first appearance this year, which is funny because it was just a couple of months before I got admitted. And usually at our offices, at our firm rather, we source out advocates. So it's very unlikely, like, I think if you watched my day in life of a candidate attorney, I did mention that day we were at the labor court and we had an advocate, appearing on our behalf. So when my principal attorney literally entrusted me with that entire case, to run the trial, to do everything from the research to the drafting to the prepping with client, it was insane. Okay, she literally said, "Kat, this is yours, do it." And it's very daunting, and some people have a different experience where they're taught. Some people have the experience where, as a candidate attorney, when you don't have a lot of work, you get to sit through court cases, which you learn the etiquette, because it's very important. Some you might get into a law firm that really specializes in litigation, so you're required to often appear in court. I'll say this again, it's very daunting. It's not like moot court. It's very serious. These are people's lives, and the magistrates are really, really like on the ball. One thing about it though is that the magistrate will come for you as a candidate attorney, and at first you'll take it personal, but more than anything, in hindsight, you realize it's really just for you to learn. They'll pick on you. They'll be like, what's a section 65 proceeding? What's a default judgment? And let me tell you something, when you are nervous, even the thing that you can say in your sleep will run through the roof. And that's what they want. Or they're testing if you can think on your feet, because it's very vital in the game. So I had my first experience. I think I'll insert like a little video that I did. I actually vlogged the day, but I never made it out. It never made it out onto my channel, which is sad, because by the time I had the whatever the will to put it out, I was just like, I think a month or some weeks before my admission, and I thought, it wouldn't make sense. So I'll put up a few clips of how it went. For me, my experience was absolutely, I'm looking for the right word. It's something I'll never forget. It's nothing like TV, but one thing I learned about myself, it's something that I always think I've known about myself, is that I really can think on my feet. As expected, the magistrate was on my head, and I was just there apologizing, asked for the matter to be stood down for like 5 minutes so I could sort myself out. But it's very important that you learn these things. It was such a learning curve for me, and I came back knowing that I really can do this, and I'm very grateful for my principal for trusting me with it, and I'm very proud of myself at the moment. So those are the type of things that you will also get to experience. Obviously, you'll have your right of appearance that allows you to be on behalf or act on behalf of your client. It's very serious, and it's very intentional. The legal field is very intentional. We have our own lingo. We have the way certain things are done a certain way. For example, you bow when you get to court. It might just be something else. I remember explaining it to my dad when we were in the high court, but it's literally protocol. It's respect and those kind of things. I remember, like, I think the first year in my candidate attorney journey, we went to the high court, and me and my friend were just like, it makes it all worth it. There's just something about being in the courtroom, something about that suitcase, something about that gown, something about the way we speak. It's so respectable. It's so. And another side note, we are definitely not as acrimonious as you will see on TV. We best the bombas out of courtroom. But now I'm rambling. But honestly, my first experience really taught me a lot about myself, where also it taught me the strengths and weaknesses. So you will grow, and that's typically, what you will do as a candidate attorney. You will have your court appearances, you will do a lot of research, you will do a lot of legwork, but it all comes together in the end because it's shaping you, molding you, and equipping you for when you do become an admitted attorney. It would be a huge injustice if I didn't give a little bit of survival tips or just tips on how you can make it through your candidate attorney journey. So my first one will definitely be a sponge, be teachable always, because that's what you're there to do. Don't come in thinking that you know better. Be there with the intention to learn every day, every minute, every second. Take it as a learning opportunity. And I think that goes with life as well. You can never know enough. Is really work on your communication skills. By this I mean that we all have different personality types, right? I could be an extrovert, I could be confident. Another person can be really ruthless in their legal drafting, but they're quite introverted, shy, or just a little bit timid. And that's to say you don't have space in the field. Best believe you do. But it's good to learn your communication skills, because as a candidate attorney, you'll be thrown to communicate with sheriffs, agents. You'll be sent to court where you need to uplift files. So you have to be someone, for a lack of better words. You need to be a people's person. You need to be able to communicate. You need to be able to initiate conversation. It's a very important skill outside of course, being able to represent your client. Being networking. The field is huge. The industry is huge, but it's equally as small. You need to network. Why I say this, you need to be able to know who to call, when to call, because we're doing completely different things. Who to call, when to call, where to find them, what they know. For example, if you're drafting like an ANC, an anti-nuptial contract, you're gonna need a notary. If you're dealing with property or a transfer, you're gonna need to know a conveyancer. If you're dealing with a legal labor matter that needs to go to the high court, you're gonna need to know an advocate. So it's really important to know who you have in your corner, who you can call. So it's very important to network. Just have a plan, a game plan for your career. For a lack of a better word, I'd say be intentional about your career. When you start being a CA, know what it is you want out of that 2-year or 1-year contract. Know what it is that you're building from that, where you see yourself in the next year, in the year after that, and to the years that follow, because really it is a foundation of what will shape you or what will shape your career moving forward. Not to be very long, I think also just to be very diligent and very patient. Diligent and patient, I think will sum it up. You need to be someone someone who doesn't give up, who's very resilient, has a lot of tenacity, because it is a tough journey and it doesn't get easier, but you just get stronger. You know what I mean? So it's very important to be diligent and to have a lot of tenacity, to know that nothing is personal and every little thing is meant to groom and equip and grow you as an admitted attorney of the High Court. I hope this was valuable. I hope it was just something that you can take with you, a little bit of nuggets here and there. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Before I go, I have done a playlist of my legal journey as well of this series so that you can binge on it. Please show some love, and more than anything, I hope that you're enjoying it. I'll see you on episode 3. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.